Okay, let's talk about making a user interface inside of Illustrator, kind of following the material design colors that we've chosen in previous lesson here. Again, inside of Illustrator, if you want to start with a interface, you can go under File, New. And under File, New, you'll notice you do have a mobile option right here. You do have a mobile option right here. And of course, you mostly have iPhone in here. I don't know. There should be a way to grab an Android. No. More settings. No. Oh, here's an Android right here. We'll do a standard Android right here. So I'm going to choose the standard Android right here. Again, it's under in New Mobile, and I'm going to hit Create. So again, just like in the other program in Sketch, if I was going to build an Android interface here, I can go and import my, by using File, Place, and import my colors from my screen grab from my material design, and here it is right here. So we can kind of put it in the corner there. With the artboards inside of Illustrator, you can name them as well. There is an artboard window inside of Illustrator. It's a pop-up window where you can actually name your artboard. And just like we did inside of Sketch, we can call this opening screen. Okay, so inside of Illustrator, we have the same kind of thing. It's just not as easy because you're going to have to use the pop-up layer window. You know, the reason why a lot of people went to Sketch in the past is because it was so easy to, you know, put things on the screen and then duplicate them and stuff. Now you can do it in Illustrator, but it's not as quick and efficient. You know, you just got to get used to one or the other. And of course, though, the downfall of Sketch is, of course, you don't have all the drawing tools that you got in Illustrator, right? You have all those great drawing tools in Illustrator. So here we go. We can actually go and use the rectangle tool again, and we'll start with our top kind of bar. If I was going to use the color, remember we talked about color, I can use the fill color right here, just like I did in the other one. And then you do have a color picker. If you want, you can go and pick up the color out there. And if I can figure out how to get the eyedropper. Oh, how about we just use an eyedropper? I get so confused between multiple programs here. Here's the eyedropper right here. The eyedropper in Illustrator is a tool right here. And then we can go suck up the green. Boom, there's the green right there. And then again, I can use the rectangle tool again, and then let's make another rectangle here. And then use the eyedropper here and suck up the green. Boom. So we got our green and we got our blue. We might make this green a little bit bigger here. And so, again, very similar to what we just did inside of Sketch. And then to put text on the screen, again, you have your text tool here. Don't click inside the object it thinks you want to apply to there. I tend to not do that. I tend to click outside and then drag it over top. So let's click on the screen, and then we're going to say Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump. Wasn't that a movie, Forrest Gump? And of course, we don't have Roboto on here, do we? Yeah. I don't know. Oh. Don't have no... Oh, we got Verdana. I was using that last time, right? Verdana. Oosh, that's pretty ugly. How about Big Carlson? Oh, that's a sans serif font. Okay, we can use our Futura. How about that? Okay, so we have our title on there. Forrest Gump. There we go. We can give it a color if you want. Okay, and then let's put in a person like we did before. And so if you're going to have a person, did we have a person? Where's that person that we used last time? Nope. Here they are. Okay, how do we do a mask? If we want to simulate a mask inside of Illustrator, well, it's very similar to what we did inside of Sketch. So we want to do a simulation of a mask inside of Illustrator. Again, use a vector shape tool like the ellipse tool, and you can draw an ellipse over top of the area that you want to mask out, right? And then you can select both of them, and you can use the clipping mask make. And it's the same thing. It's under Object, Clipping Mask, Make. And again, it'll simulate the same mask like we had in the other one. Okay? Do you want me to do that again? Again, just like you did inside of Sketch, we make a vector shape object over top of, let's say, this person. And then we select both of them and go under Object, Clipping Mask, Make. And then we have the mask we want. And then of course we can do the same thing where we have some text, this person, and then if you want to do text that wraps inside of Illustrator, you use the Illustrator and you draw a box. Then you can have text that wraps around, and of course we don't want it that big. We want to go and whatever, you get the idea. You can do a text box that wraps as well inside of Photoshop or Illustrator. Again, you have the colors over here that we were using. Maybe you want to have a box, or you want to use a secondary color. Let's say you want to use a secondary color over here. We can actually use a secondary color. I'm going to choose the eyedropper here. And where's the eyedropper? If I want to use, let's say, the light yellow right here. So maybe in this design, I know this is going to look kind of ugly, but we can also maybe put this person in a box. And then remember, in Illustrator, you have things in layers that layer up and down, and we can rearrange and send to back. There we go. So we have a nice sort of button for this person. Again, using the material design options here. Don't use all the gradients and all those kind of things, you know. Maybe we want round edges. We can give it round edges. How about that? And so on. And then maybe we could give, can we put a stroke around there? Yes, you can put a stroke around there. If you want to make it stand out a little bit, you can make a stroke. And a stroke would be a line around the photo like that. You can do that. Again, this is the stroke color in Illustrator. And you can change the stroke size if you want. There is a pop-up window for stroke. And if you go to the stroke pop-up window, there is a size there. Maybe we want it maybe a little bit thicker so we can see it too. There we go. So she got a nice sort of there. And of course, alignment, just like we were talking about before. Notice how this text is not aligned. Inside of Illustrator, you have those alignment tools like you did, like I was showing inside of Sketch. To do those alignment tools, there is a pop-up window inside of Illustrator for alignment. It's under Window, Alignment, and then it is a pop-up window. And you have the same things like you had in Sketch. You get a line left, line center, a line right, line top, middle, whatever. Here's a distribute if you want to evenly space things. But again, I want to align left, boom. And so now these are all aligned perfectly to the left. Of course, there's an extra space here. That's why that's there. And so, you know, you have a nice sort of shape there. Okay, let's talk about, again, inside of Android. Remember, it had the close button with the drop shadow. How do I do that drop shadow material design effect inside of here? In fact, let's try the drop shadow on this actual person right here, because then it makes it look like this person's actually above the background. To do that, I can select my object, and to do a drop shadow is not that quite easy as it is in other programs inside of Illustrator. And you know, you could simulate it is one way of going, where you actually make a separate object and then blur it. That's one way of going about it. Another way is to use the actual 3D effect, and the 3D effects inside of Illustrator I have not demonstrated in this class. So let's look at those. And so here, pay attention for a moment if you can to how to do effects inside of Illustrator. I know I haven't demonstrated that. It's a little bit tricky because of the way that the program works is that it uses a separate object to do the effect, and then to go back and adjust the effect you have to go back to that object. So here we go. To do an effect, you'll notice there is effects inside of Illustrator. And so if you look up there, you'll notice you have all these effects right here. The one I want to use is under Stylize, and it's called Drop Shadow. It's under Stylize. And then there's a whole bunch of them. Feather would be a blurry effect. Inner glow, outer glow, round corners, and scribble. I love doing scribble for fun effects. But the one we're going to simulate here is called Drop Shadow. If I apply it here, it's going to bring up this window right here. And in this window, you'll see there is a preview option to show you what it's going to look like. And you'll see that it does have a drop shadow that goes around the outside of this shape. And you have blur, which will make it a little bit blurrier, which is nice because I want it to be less dominant. You do have an opacity, which makes it less dominant as well. This is a multiply is the way that the blending mode is. And then there's an offset X and offset Y. So if I want it to be on the other side, I can go negative, and notice how it's going on this side now. So negative would be on the left side, positive would be on the right side. Now, and then of course this is down or up. I kind of like it on the left side, a little bit down, kind of like that. And you'll notice if I zoom in, you'll see I have a nice sort of simple drop shadow inside of Illustrator on this shape right now. And then you say, well, I don't like the drop shadow, it's too far away, how do I fix it? Well, you're like, and so let's get out of that. So to fix or adjust any of these effects that you apply to an object inside of Illustrator is located underneath the triangle in the layer window. If you go to the layer window and select your object, you're going to need to go and bring up the appearance window. The appearance window is under window appearance. Inside the appearance window, this is where things that you have applied to your object are applied. So in this case, if you notice, it's under window appearance. In the appearance window is where your color is. There's a stroke here, and then notice there's your drop shadow. It's right there. In order to change that drop shadow, you double click on it in the appearance window and it comes back up, or you just click once on it. Then you can make your adjustment. Maybe I want less blur and I want it down a little bit more or less. And I want the offset a little bit less. I think the problem I'm having is the blur is too much. There we go. And I'm going to make it a little subtler. Oh, there's the preview. You got to hit the preview to see what you're doing in real time. There we go. A little bit less. Let's put the blur back on. There we go. And okay. So again, if you apply any of these effects that are located under the effects window, there's a whole bunch of them underneath here. In order to go and adjust them, you need to go and do it inside of the appearance window, and then you can adjust them by clicking on them here. Any questions about that? Shadows are good. They make your stuff look like it's coming off the screen. Okay? Material design uses it a lot for things that they want you to touch. So this would be, if I put a drop shadow on this would tell the Android user I can touch this person. So it would be if you're touching them, right? You're going to click on them to go to that or something like that. That's why they have it in the little plus over here, right? See the little plus right here? Right? They usually put a shadow on there because that's something you're going to touch. So only put a shadow on something that's kind of interactive. Don't put it on something just for eye candy, because that's not how they use it for their, because some people like, oh, drop shadows are great, they make it look 3D. Well, only, at least for material design, they use it for something that is interactive. Any questions about that? You want me to show Photoshop real quick or what? Material design in Photoshop? Or Illustrator's fine? Okay, we can stop then.